What is up, everybody? How's everyone doing? All right, so I was chilling inside and I was very comfortable and I was like, you know what? I'm way too comfortable. Let's get outside and let's start rambling. First off, I want to say, thank you to everyone reaching out lately. I feel very, very loved and supported by everyone. I've been doing a lot of rambling, and like I really feel loved. So many people reaching out, giving me support, and it just feels awesome. It feels awesome. Thank you guys so much. Love you very, very much. So I got a fun one that I wanted to talk about in the spirit of things happening on planet Earth. We're gonna talk about aliens. Aliens, one of my favorite topics ever. So back around, I'd say anywhere from 2010 to 2012, I was on the internet, and I read a book. Well, I got the idea to read this book. I saw them talking about it, and it was like government officials and Air Force officials speaking out, talking about like UFOs and stuff like that, and how it's been covered up and all that. So I'm like, all right, very interesting. Let's check it out. So I read it, and read all these people, high-ranking officials telling what they know, what they've been doing. So this is, back 2010-ish, and, I watched, retired generals and all this speaking out, saying, we've recovered stuff, we've been working on this, we've cited it many times, there's a whole protocol for what to do when this happens, and they're telling this to the public. I'm like, holy crap, it's actually real. Because up until then, if you were to talk about this stuff, people would be like, yeah, science fiction, not real at all. And I was like, I don't know, these people are, they're pretty convincing. They're saying it's real. And this was my awakening to the fact that, the government is hiding stuff from us, because up until then, I didn't really think about it much. I'm like, yeah, they're there for us, blah, blah. I didn't think about it. But this was, for me, the big eye-opening topic. Just the fact that there was like official people speaking about it, coming out, whistleblowers. So fast forward today, there's some disclosure happening. There's the movie, Steven Spielberg has a Disclosure Day. I haven't seen it yet. I kind of want to see it because they're putting that movie out for a reason, because we are getting disclosure. We've already gotten, released videos, and they always look like crap. It's like, a plane chasing a little, like I feel like someone could make something like that up, but it is, official declassified documents. And now there's one of like, they shot one down and it just kind of explodes. Who knows what's actually real, but this is what they're telling us is real, and this is what they're giving us. Anyways, though, like, I haven't ever, seen a straight up UFO or a UAP, what they call it now. I wish, but maybe I have, because, okay, there was one night in particular, I used to stargaze all the time, just look up at the sky, you'd see a lot of shooting stars and stuff. I don't know if anyone's looked at the sky for long periods of time, but I used to do it like every night, you see stuff flying around out there, shooting stars, whatever it is. And it's, that's all, we don't know what that is. It's just normal stuff going on. But one night in particular, I saw a star. I thought it was a star, but it moved. It just moved locations. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like watching it move. It looked like it was moving slowly, but then it got like higher in the sky. It was moving away from everything, and then it just stopped. And I was like, okay, that's really, really weird. Am I seeing things? In my mind, in my memories, I really saw that. So that was one time I saw something that I'm like, that was was pretty nuts. But I have two instances of something, and so one time, and I have to admit, I was on a lot of cannabis, a lot, to the point where I was like I felt extremely connected to, the universe and everything, super connected. Like I was straight up like just in communication with it. And yes, I was enhanced, but I'm looking out my window. I was like in my 20s, living in Danbury at the time in my condo, and I'm thinking to myself, just looking at the sky, I'm thinking of two fallen soldiers in my life. I was thinking of Nate and Trista for some reason. They both passed away. Rest in peace to both of you. I love you so much. But I was thinking Nate and Trista, and then I'm just like, I pointed at the sky. I'm like, now, and I see two orbs just go whoosh. And the funny thing was, I expected it. Like that's like, I was just so connected like that. I was like, okay, it's gonna happen. I didn't know if necessarily I was gonna see orbs. I didn't know what, but I was very connected. I was thinking of my two friends who passed, and I was like, now, and sure enough, whoop. So that happened, and I'm like, did I just see that? I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was real. So, a few months maybe, I was hanging out with a friend who I really need to reconnect with, and I'm still, I'm kind of like, smoking a lot of pot, but it puts me in this really connected state. And so I go to her, I'm like, listen, like I could call orbs out of the sky. I'm like, watch. And so, I'm feeling really connected. We're looking at the sky. I'm like, now, sure enough, it one or two orbs, I forget. I think two, but they shot out, and she was like, wow, you really are magic. So I do have a witness. I would like to, I got to contact her again and see how she remembers this event. But yeah, this actually happened. I do have a witness. And so I believe in stuff. I believe there's a lot going on. The first time I ever like really had an encounter with something, I think it was like some sort of pranksters, something showing me that there was something there. I had this little Ghostbuster toy. I'm a little kid living in Wantagh, Long Island. I must be like 5 or 6. It's a Ghostbuster toy. You wind up its arm and it's like hair lifts up or something. And, I'm doing it and it stopped working. I'm like, oh, it's not working. I'm like, and I wanted to show my mom that it wasn't working. So I'm like, hey mom, this isn't working. Look, every time she looked at it, it worked. It started working again. And every time she looked away, it stopped working. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm a little kid here, and I'm like, there's something here with me. Like something's going on. I'll never forget that. Obviously, this happened when I was like young, but I never forgot that because it was so strange to me. Yeah, weird stuff. I mean, there could be, rational, explanations that we could explain for all this stuff, but whatever, in my mind, all these things I just talked about were like, not anything I'm familiar with, and they were rare. But, I don't know. Have you guys ever had an experience? I know at least one of you had some experience. I'm looking at you, Dante. I want to hear more about it. Please, give me your thoughts. What are these things? So my theory has always been that they're, the stereotypical gray aliens are humans from the future. That's what I always thought, because like, think about it. They are humanoid. They got a head and a body, arms, legs. That's a human right there. But what is it? Is it an evolved human? Is it? And one of the scientists who got missing, I forget her name. I'm sorry. I'm not like prepared to give real deal information. I'll put a link to this. But you know, she claimed what I just said. And she's been researching this. She says or aliens, or she calls them something else. Ultra terrestrials are us from like 40,000 years in the future. Like there's different groups. Like some are like 40,000, some are even more. You know, and this is a lady who passed away for, you know, being a whistleblower, pretty much. This is crazy stuff. So that was my theory, and she kind of said the same thing. So I was like, yes. Like, I don't know. It just makes sense to me, you know? Who's, like, I don't know. That's what I always kind of thought. I was like, yo, I bet they're us. I bet we're, like, coming back from the future, like, warn us about, you know, like, who knows? Maybe there's different timelines. They're trying to help us, like, you know, choose the right one. I don't know. Who knows? We don't know jack. That's the problem, you know. We're just minions, you know, making this world run, this materialistic world, you know, making our money and going to our little jobs and crap. But meanwhile, like, there's so much stuff going on. Yeah, so what are they? What's a UFO? Is it a ship? Is the thing alive itself, like in Nope? That always was, you know, a thought of mine too. Like, what if these things aren't like a ship? What if it's, you know, who knows? You know, I never even seen one. Who knows? But apparently, you know, we are getting more and more disclosure. We got a movie about it, so that, you know, it's on all our minds. You know, they're putting this out to the public. It's going to be a topic that's going to be talked about more and more. I just wanted to weigh in on my, you know, limited experiences on the subject. But, you know, it's kind of, this is the most exciting time to be alive as a human, I swear. Like all the conspiracy theorists that, you know, have been into this stuff for a long time, we're rejoicing now because we're not crazy anymore. We've known what was up, and we've been trying to, you know, tell everyone. They look at us like we're nuts, and yeah, we are kind of nuts, but that's all right because, you know, we spot bits of truth when we see it. You know, that's why we go down the rabbit hole, because we're like, I feel like there's something to this. It sounds nuts, but like, I really feel like there's something to it. And that's why, you know, we do follow stuff, but you need discernment because a lot of it is BS. But like, it is tough to know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited just to see what happens, you know, on this planet, you know, with people waking up right and left. You know, we're more awake than ever. Like, what a time to be a human and seeing everything come to light. The Epstein stuff, you know, everything's coming out to light. It's amazing. It's amazing. I am so thankful I get to witness this. It is so cool. It is so cool. For better or worse, the truth is coming out. I've always been a truth seeker. You know, ignorance is bliss, that's fine. I'd rather know the truth. No matter how horrible or scary it is, I'd rather not be in the dark, you know. But unfortunately, that's how it's been forever. You know, most humans have been in the dark, and a small group have known what was up, and they just control us. But things are changing. It's pretty cool. All right, everybody, have a amazing day, and yeah, love you guys. Bye.